light on you there. There we go.
So in the last 24 hours or less, or however long it's been, what have you learned about Sam Houston State?
A lot of what we anticipated. They're very well coached, very fundamentally sound in terms of executing on offense. Matt Deggs, the coach there, does a really good job, and they're a mixture of experience in terms of some of the guys at the top of the order with a lot of college at-bats, and have some really talented freshmen. They're dynamic in how they play in terms of running the bases and bunting and those types of things. Maybe more so than you would think for a school from that part of the country. And they have good athletes that do it well. Pitching, they have a very good Friday starter who I'm assuming we'll see on Friday, that pounds the zone, has 3 pitches, and competes really well. So a lot of what we probably anticipated.
Is it like a team that you've seen before this year? Does it remind you of anyone?
Maybe a little bit of Oregon in terms of putting pressure on you, in terms of trying to put pressure on you. They look like they have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 guys that get down the line really well and force you to play fast catch. Force you to do a very good job holding runners and those types of things. We try to be good at those things, and so that's a good thing. And from a defensive standpoint, it looks like they do a good job, really good catcher that manages the game well, and they present a lot of challenges.
There's a lot of rain in the forecast for the weekend. How do you handle that from a pitching staff perspective if there are rain delays or if there's just a sort of an unpredictable element to it?
Well, I think the first thing we have going for us that is it's a turf field at Lafayette, which really all you need is a window. I think we'll be very active in terms of, and I know the tournament committee will be active in terms of trying to prevent that, where it's an inning and then you slow down. I think the NCAA puts the student athletes' well-being first, and I'm sure they'll do that in this scenario. But we'll take care of it. Been in postseason where that's happened a few times, and just got to keep guys moving around. You got to keep all hands on deck and be ready. And I know we'll be ready for that.
What were your expectations for Nathan Bannister in the fall, and how is his performance compared to what your expectations were?
Well, the first thought on him was he looked like the one pitcher on the staff that was returning that had pitched some significant innings. I think he threw 100 innings last year. And so I felt like that experience would be valuable, knowing that the pitching staff was probably the number one priority of what we were going to have to get right to have any chance of being successful this year. So the first thing I did was I made sure that he knew he had a place here, and I wanted him to return for his senior year, and that's without ever seeing him throw a pitch, just kind of evaluating his season. Secondly, after we got together, it was an improvement in his physical conditioning and athleticism needed to be made, and he did that. We've obviously talked a lot about that, and he's really benefited. I think it's a unique situation because he's done such a good job with that. You're seeing his performance continue to go like this as the year's gone along. He's better than he was earlier in the year, and he was pretty good early in the year. So it's been all positive, as far as what he's done this year.
Cesar was telling me a lot of the positive stuff you see from the pitching staff is just their ability to hit spots. How have they improved with that throughout this year?
I think they've improved a lot, and I think a key is with young pitchers getting them to focus on what's important. And what I mean by what's important is what's going to get hitters out and give them a chance to be successful. So we've shifted some guys' minds from just velocity and the radar gun to let's start with the first layer is throwing strikes, then throwing low strikes, and then moving your fastball and commanding it in and out and up and down, and then effectively changing speeds to get hitters off timing. Because if they know what's coming and they can time it up, in the Pac-12 and in the NCAA tournament, they can do damage. And I think we've probably done a really good job of those 4 things. And I think you see the guys that have pitched the majority of the innings, they do the best at that.
Is that going to fit playing against Sam Houston State's approach?
Absolutely. I think it fits against the Yankees or the Giants approach. If you don't get guys off time, you're going to have a hard time. And these guys look very well coached offensively. If you look at their numbers, they're very balanced in terms of batting average, doubles, on-base percentage, walks hit by pitch, bunting game, running game. And so our ability to control the strike zone and manage the running game will determine our success.
Are they similar to you guys in the sense where more manufacturing runs than power?
Well, I think we've had a lot of different kinds of games, which I'm really proud of as an offense, and we've talked about that a lot, is we want to be able to be adaptable and win any type of game. If somebody said that we look like them, I would take that as a compliment because they look like a good offensive team.
What is Andy Lopez's role in this whole season and success that
Significant.
you've had?
Yeah, I mean, he recruited a lot of these players and had foresight to see that some of them would be good at some point, and they are. I remember reading his book, and one of my favorite lines in the book was he said, like, recruiting's like shaving, and if you don't do it every day, you're going to end up looking bad. And development just comes at different times for some guys. You mentioned Nathan. Zach Gibbons has had a pretty solid career, but has really come into his own this year. Cody Raymer, is getting to be an everyday player really for the first time, and we're fortunate for that. And he's a great coach, a legendary coach, and I'm really happy to see some of the guys that he recruited have this kind of success and get to play in the postseason.
Cody and Zach and even Aguilar have kind of been the constants offensively. Some other guys have been up and down, but over the last 5 games or so, Bobby Dahlbeck, JJ, and Cesar really have come on. What, if anything, has been different with those guys, and how important is it for you to have that depth in the lineup?
It's huge, and one thing we really want to, and talked about a lot, is we want to be a threat to score in every inning. In college baseball, it's tough to have that 1 through 9, and sometimes you end up playing for 3 or 4 innings a game and setting up your best guys. I think those 3 guys' improvements have really lengthened our lineup and given us that chance to score in more innings. Starting with Cesar, we made some significant changes a couple weeks ago that has really tapped into some of his bat speed, which he's needed because he's caught a lot for us in his first time probably catching this many games. So he's put in some good work. I think JJ is one of the stories of the year. First off, he has such great natural ability that he's been able to have some success even when he's not right, but he's made a lot of adjustments, and I think he's starting to really get into those. And I kind of was looking at him like, I'm kind of getting to that point where I think you can really be a guy as we move forward the rest of the year and into next year, and because of the work that he's put in. And then Bobby, I think his mind is relaxed. I think he's embracing, the opportunity that he has to play here right now, and he probably won't play too many more games here, so enjoying it. And we've really just tried to focus on one at bat at a time and see the ball and be aggressive when he's ready to take a good pass at it. And Friday night's game, if you saw Friday night's game, you would go, okay, that's what the buzz was about him. And I'm really pleased with his last 5 games offensively.
What did it take to get him turned around? Because this is the first time he's ever struggled to hit in his life.
You'd have to ask him that. I think a lot of it is, just the right mindset and approach, and sometimes you just got to let go a little bit, and I think he's been able to do that. Fortunately for us, and winning 38 games, and in my opinion, having one of the best offenses in the country in terms of scoring runs, is he's got some help in this lineup. And it was fun to see it the couple games this past week where he was doing what he's capable of, and the other guys kind of doing their thing, and you're looking at a 12-run game, an 8-run game, an 11-run game, and a 6-run game, and that's all positive for us moving into the playoffs.
Fleming only threw like 60 pitches on Friday.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose, and how does that change how maybe you can use him this weekend?
Well, I think we took advantage of an opportunity there in terms of we'd extended a lead against Hawaii. I don't remember what the score was, but I want to say it was like 8 or 9 to nothing, and we had good game control. And I think it gave him a little bit of a breather. He's pitched so many significant innings for us, and high-stress innings. A lot of the games that him and Nathan have pitched have been 5-1, 6-1, 4-1, where they're just moving through it, and you want to keep going to them. So it was nice to be able to get a low pitch count, but him and Nathan. I think Nathan threw 82 or 83 pitches. I think that sets them both up well for the weekend. And it's definitely a positive that we're going to use.
You told us yesterday you're going to wait till maybe 18 hours before the game to decide who's pitching. Any epiphanies today?
No, and we're not gonna announce a starter until we're absolutely sure of what we're gonna do, and we're still not sure at this point. Both of those guys, and Kevin Dinkle and Bobby, have some good options. With some guys that have emerged here in the last 2 weeks that it's really exciting. To give us that. We used 10 guys on the weekend this last weekend and held them to 6 runs offensively, and if we can do that, it's going to give us a chance.
Have you noticed the change in Ginkel's overall mentality since that ASU game?
I think it started a little bit before then. He had a really good relief outing against BYU, who's one of the top offenses in the country. Had a good outing against Washington State here, and there was 1 more or 2 more in there. And then that Arizona State performance was special, and they obviously went on to have a great season, and it's a good offense. So I think, did it help his confidence? Sure. And, since that BYU game, it's been a real key cog or, thing that's happened that's improved our team and improved our season.
Let me ask you a question.